What's going on, Falcon fan? This is Warrior Kondo coming back at you with another video. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Hey guys, I wanted to come on here. I know everybody getting ready for the Super Bowl, getting ready for their Super Bowl parties and things like that. Um, so am I. We're about 4 hours away from the Super Bowl, so it's gonna be an exciting Super Bowl. Once again, my pick is the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see how that turns out to be. And one of the reasons why I'm on here today, and the reason I picked the Kansas City Chiefs is because of their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. I do believe that the San Francisco 49ers probably have the better team overall, but when it comes to football in general, most of the time it comes down to the quarterback play. Now, Brock Purdy has played well throughout the season. What's going on, King? Um, Brock Purdy has played well throughout the seasons. He has a lot of talented weapons out there. He has orchestrated his offense all the way to the Super Bowl, and his play in the playoffs definitely one of the reasons why they are in the Super Bowl. So it's all about the quarterback. And one of the things that I want to come here and talk about today is just the fascinating thing about the quarterback position throughout NFL this season. We want to talk about some needy teams, quarterback needy teams in NFL, and then how that all ties up to our team here at the Atlanta Falcons. Because one thing that we do know 100% that the Atlanta Falcons is not the only team this year that have quarterback issues and concerns and things that they probably want to think about this offseason. So that's why it's so fascinating. And to be honest, if you look at the landscape of the quarterbacks that's out there, throughout the draft, throughout, potential trade, free agency, things like that, it's just really not enough to go around. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all falls out, not just for our Atlanta Falcons, but for NFL teams across the landscape of all 32 teams, right? So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button, so I know you guys like hear that I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come and hear me talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. What's going on? You said the spotlight is back on Atlanta. Yes, it is. Right after the Super Bowl, once the Super Bowl is over, it's going to be all about off season, guys. 100% about off season. This is our last day to enjoy, the 2023 season, which with us as Atlanta Falcons fans had a lot of high hope, and it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, unfortunately. And to be honest with you, a lot of that had to do with the quarterback situation. So why we're going to talk about today. The biggest thing about professional football is that it's a team sport. It's no 100% a team sport. The head coach, the quarterback gets a lot of blame, but in reality, a guy who has the ball in his hand most of the time can affect the game in so many ways, right? And that's why the quarterback get paid the most. That's why they always get either credited or the blame for most of the times is the team win or lose. That's just the nature of the beast. It's not going to change anytime soon. And like I said, the reason why we talking about these two teams Super Bowl today because of their quarterback play, the way these guys performed, and in the playoffs to get their teams to the Super Bowl. So, the first thing we're going to talk about today is the quarterback needy teams throughout the NFL, right? And when you think about the quarterback needy teams, it's really a lot. It's a lot of teams that really needs a quarterback. So a lot of teams that need a quarterback in NFL. And if you just go down the list of teams that probably like, okay, we cool with our quarterback, it's probably maybe 10 teams that can say that, right? And they're like, okay, we're good. We're golden. You think about the Cowboys, right? They probably, cool with Dak Prescott. These two teams in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs and the 49ers are probably good at quarterback. The Lions, I think they finally settled on Jared Goff. I think they're cool. You're the Bengals with of course with Joe Burrow, right? Justin Herbert in San Diego, Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens, the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts. Let's see, Jordan Love finally, yes, probably, and 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 um in Green Bay. I think Cleveland Browns are content with Deshaun Watson. Kyler Murray is probably good with the Cardinals. So um, you see what I mean by when I'm saying some teams are good, right? Some teams are good. You still need a backup quarterback. Probably the Jets, probably good with Aaron Rodgers if he come back healthy. But however, Aaron Rodgers also they still need a backup quarterback. So you got to be looking in sense of bringing a backup quarterback into your team as well. But for the most part, it's. But if you look at a lot of teams that really need quarterbacks and probably not sold on the guy that they have currently, as their number one quarterback on the spot right now, of course, the first three teams on the draft board is the Chicago Bears, which that GM and that organization has one of the biggest decisions, that they need to make, in their tenure here, to start. Now, Ryan Poles did not draft Justin Fields, so you know he has a little, in my opinion, a little less pressure than a lot of people thinks because he can just say, hey, he wasn't my guy. But however, Justin Field is a talented quarterback. Now he has not lived up to the first round grade so far. He has not. Let's just be honest, right? And a lot of factors into that. It really is. I understand the coaching. I understand you know the organization maybe not having a perfect offensive line, maybe not having the weapons around him and things like that. So the idea of Justin Fields being in a great situation, we can argue that he has not been a great situation. But then you can look, if you put on some film and things like that, you can also say that Justin Fields has not made plays that he probably should have made, regardless of circumstance and things like that. So he's the work in progress, to say the least. But the talent is there. You can see the arm talent. You can see the God gifted ability that he has. Led the league in rushing as a quarterback, which is not saying a lot because you want a quarterback to be able to deliver the ball from the pocket, but he can throw the ball. He has a strong arm. He can make all the throws, things like that. But that's one of the things. So Chicago definitely have a decision to make at the number one position, right? Then you think about the Commanders. Commanders, Sam Howell looked promising, to start the season, things like that. But I think he fell off towards the end of the season. So more than likely they're gonna probably make a move, especially when a new head coach and a new general manager there. More than likely they're going to move on for somehow, right? It was a report that the New England Patriots might be interested in going into free agency and getting them a veteran quarterback, and they might be willing to trade out of the number 3 spot. So right there, those three teams that definitely need quarterbacks, right? Not to include our Atlanta Falcons, which would be a 4th team, but then you look around the league of other teams that definitely have quarterback concern. You go to the Las Vegas Raiders. They started a young quarterback and O'Donnell, McDonald, I think that's how you say his name. And he went 5-5, in the last couple class level games there with their new head coach, right? He has said that he would definitely be willing to bring him back, but the question is the Las Vegas Raiders going to take that chance and having, that young quarterback there on the team with a new head coach? You don't want to start off bad as a head coach. You want to have your quarterback in place. Now they do have Jimmy Garoppolo still on the roster, right? They got a decision to make with him because I think if they don't make it by the new league year, they might have to pay him some money. So Jimmy Garoppolo is another guy that they have, right? So that's the Las Vegas Raiders. You go to the Minnesota Vikings is another team with a situation. Kirk Cousins is the free agent coming off of Achilles tear. Of course, he's going to want money, right? That's one of the things they have to think about when it comes to Kirk Cousins. But then you have to think about Jefferson is due up for a contract, and Daniel Hunter, one of their best pass rushers, is due for a contract too, right? So decisions they will have to make, right? Do they try to go get another quarterback, a young quarterback, bringing in having a guy like Justin Jefferson there, before he even signed his contract, he probably want to know what the quarterback situation is. He has a lot of faith in Kirk Cousins, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic there in Minnesota, right? Go to the Denver Broncos. Is another team. We know the situation with Russell Wilson. They asked him to take a pay cut. They got a big decision to make before new league year 2, because they're going to owe him money next year. They already owe him $39 million this year. It's fully guaranteed, no matter what decision they make. But if they don't make a decision by the new league year this year, they have to end up paying him next year as well. So they have big decisions to make. Now, if they able to, it's been reported that they might be willing to stick with him if he were willing to restructure his contract. So that's out there on the table for the Denver Broncos, right? So those are just some of the teams you think about. All right, I don't want to talk leave out Tampa Bay. Of course, they have a decision to make with Baker Mayfield. More than likely, he's probably going to end up going back there. But there's a lot of teams, and like I said, really, if you think about it, it's not a lot of quarterbacks, that you can say, yes, if I get that guy, we're going to be good, right? It's some guys that can play in this league, right? And so you don't want to never discount guys and things like that and say that if this guy come on, it won't be a good situation. Yes, it is. It is some guys, some veteran guys, you come in, plug and play, especially if your roster built the way you want it built. You just need a competent quarterback to come in and lead you, right? But, NFL teams, especially new regimes and things like that, they want to come in and they want to try to set themselves up, not just for one season, but for the sustained success for the future. And if you're not thinking like that, especially a new regime coming in, right, you can be done in a couple of years. That means just the bottom line. That's why I go back to a guy like Ryan Poles, right? Coming there, new GM, right? He did not pick Justin Fields. So how much, loyalty does he really have there, right? He has to think about that, because, if he was to stick with Justin Fields, and then you get one of these guys turn up be a generational quarterback, and you had the number 1 overall pick where you could have picked that guy, yeah, he's going to be gone in a couple of years. It's just the way it is. And especially if Justin Fields, does not end up being the guy that, that they think he could be. Right. So that's why the Chicago Bears is definitely one of the biggest situations out there. But when you're just looking at all the quarterback needy teams, right, it's a big issue for our Atlanta Falcons. And that's why I just had to come here and talk about it, because, like, sometimes you look around the league, like, man, everybody is pretty much good. The Atlanta Falcons could make so many different moves because they don't have to worry about these other teams, maybe leapfrogging them in the draft, giving them more trade package for some of the guys that they might want to trade for, even in free agency, giving up, giving the guy what he wants, right? What they might have to pay more in free agency. So those are all the different dynamics that the Atlanta Falcons will be facing because of the need at quarterback. And we all know, I mean, if you don't have a franchise quarterback, right, you just think about some of the teams that's really been struggling throughout, for years. I mean, for decades. Some teams, in some cases, has really had the issue. I mean, think about Chicago Bears, for example, the team that got number 1 overall pick, right? Have they ever really had a franchise guy that they can say, he's been our franchise guy, right? Right. Last guy, maybe Jim McMahon. Now they did have quarterback take him to the Super Bowl against the Colts, right? Rex Grossman, right? But at the same time, he wasn't a franchise guy, and that's why they probably haven't been back, had sustained success throughout, right? We have seen teams go on these Super Bowl runs, right, with a quarterback, because the team was so well put together. And like I said, this is a team sport. But if you want a franchise guy, right? I mean, just look how Green Bay has did it for like 3 decades now. I mean, almost 4 decades, if you want to really think about it, because Brett Favre was there so long. And then you have Aaron Rodgers there almost 20 years. Then they go right into just Jordan Love. So, I mean, just just if you could just plan it like that for teams to have that succession plan set up for quarterbacks for decades, it'll be awesome. But some teams never get. Look at the New York Jets as another example. They still having the issue. They thought they maybe had found the guy for a couple of years that's get them to the playoffs and potentially win the Super Bowl. But once again, he's on the tail end of his career, so they're gonna be right back in the hunt again in a couple of years. I mean, that's how it is. All right. Atlanta Falcons were fortunate to have a franchise quarterback for 14 seasons here in Matt Ryan. Right. We didn't win as many games as we wanted to, but we was competitive in all those years because you had a franchise quarterback. It's just simple as that. It was one of the things that, like, when I say quarterback needed teams, the Falcons was not going into the season worrying about that. They was trying to build around, which that's where they failed at for the most part. They was not able to build a good team around their franchise quarterback, and that's why we was not able to get over the top. This just that simple. But when you think about quarterback needed teams, this is going to be an issue for the Falcons. It's no other way around it, and I hope you guys understand that that's the reason why this quarterback situation is so fascinating. If you look at a report that I think NFL Network put out about the different teams and different situations about different quarterbacks and some of the rumors and things going around about the different teams. It's a good read. Go out and read it. That's one of the reasons why I came on here to talk about today. But, the quarterback situation in 2024, this offseason, it's going to be, it's just good as news. It's good for us podcasters, definitely, because we get to get out here and talk about it and be fascinated about the different, things that's going to take place over the next probably month, because like I said, some decisions got to be made before the new league year happens, or some of these guys are going to be having guaranteed pays and stuff. So it's going to shine a lot of light on, in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks here, we're going to see some questions going to start to get answered, right? Who's going to be available and things like that. Eventually, Chicago has to tip their what they're going to do, with their quarterback position. It was a rumor that they could keep Justin Fields and draft a quarterback at number 1. I mean, that could definitely happen because they do have the number 1 overall pick. All right. They don't have to pay. The thing is, they're saying that, Justin Fields' contract is an issue. But in reality, Justin Fields has 2 more seasons, right? Especially if they decide to pick up his free option. So he has this season's coming up. And then if they pick up the free option, they have his 2025 year as well. So they have 2 seasons to actually, if they pick up the free option, to make a decision on Justin Fields. So they could draft a quarterback potentially and keep Justin Fields, right? They could make that decision, right? It's highly unlikely. I understand that because, if you're going to drop the number 1 quarterback overall, you want to get some kind of more capital to help build around that young quarterback. So trading Justin Fields would be probably the best option for him, for his career and for the team as well, for both sides. That's one of the things that, that could definitely be. We like I said, I spoke earlier about New England Patriots potentially being a team that was instead of going to get a young guy, they was going to get a veteran free agent, and then they was willing to trade out the number 3 or third overall pick, right? So that's potentially for teams, quarterback needed teams to move up to number 3. That's including our Atlanta Falcons. So a lot of different things that it's going to transpire, but in reality, this is going to be really interesting because the Atlanta Falcons are not the only team. And I'm not talking about the 3 teams that has, the ideal spot to go get their young guy. I'm talking about either teams that's, fall behind the Atlanta Falcons in this year's NFL draft that also need quarterbacks as well. So let's get to some of you guys' questions real quick before we get into my next topic. Let's spotlight be back on Atlanta. We talked about that. Bijan Robinson been on TV having a lot of interviews. Yes, he was I think he was doing his promotions. This time of the year with Super Bowl, they have like media row out there, and it's so many guys, promoting their sponsors and things like that. So that's what he was out there doing. And of course, while you promoting your stuff, you're actually doing interviews about your team and things like that. So go out there and watch all those videos. I really like what Bijan had to say. He's really excited about Raheem Morris. He's talked to him, I think 15 minutes after he got hired, which is awesome. He was fired up, ready to go play for him. I think he actually likes just a little bit more. You can see the more excitement that I think he can envision than what he had with a Arthur Smith. So you're correct about that. What quarterback do you think Atlanta should get? I'm gonna get into that just a minute. I really am. What's going on, Kevin Wallace? What's going on, Rakundo? What's up? What we got here? Yeah, the Bears have a tough decision to make. Whatever decision they make is no wrong decision. I agree with you on that. They could definitely. Do you see a dog horse nobody's thinking about that could be able to pick up as a veteran quarterback? Like I said, we'll get into that in just a minute. What's up, man? What's up, man? Can't wait to see what they do. I'm hyped. I know that's what everybody just so excited to see what's going to happen. Sports said, one day Atlanta Falcons will have multiple Super Bowls. I like the way you think, man. That's awesome. All right, guys. So let's talk about it, right? Let's really talk about the Falcons' options at quarterback, right? So, and I talked about it on other videos and things like this, but we're going to really do a deep dive on it this time, and it really boils down to what the Atlanta Falcons are thinking, right? What they're thinking. And what I mean by that, when I say what the Atlanta Falcons are thinking when it comes to their options, right? Do they, and it's too early to know this right now, do they have a guy? First of all, let's start in a draft. Is it a guy in the draft that the Atlanta Falcons scouting department, because right now the coaches probably hadn't had the chance to actually probably haven't had the chance to actually dive into the draftees yet, because they've been getting assembled and they got to do the first look at our team is in itself. You got to analyze the own roster first. So the coaches probably coming in late, right? That's what happens when you get a new coaching staff. They coming in late because they got to analyze the team, and then get into the draftees. That was supposed to be happening this week and next week anyway. From the staff, right? So that's going to happen. But the point I'm making about the draftees, the draft quarterbacks, is it one guy that the Atlanta Falcons say, if we get that guy, right, our future franchise quarterback for years to come, right? That would be the first thing I would think, right? So if the Atlanta Falcons go in and they say, we got a good roster, we need to build around the edges, and this would be something Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris sit down, of course, with some other guys in the room, of course, and they say, we got a good roster, and we get our franchise quarterback. Not only will we be decent this year because of development of the staff that we put together, the players around him, things like that. He will not have to do so much. He can manage the game like we need him while he grows into this system, right? They got a guy like that they see, right? And I'm talking about either one of the guys that's really out there, Jalen McDaniels, Caleb Williams, even a Drake May, right? All three of those guys, potentially, in my opinion, could go top 3, right? Either one of those guys, if they see one of those guys, say, that's the guy I got to have, right? In my opinion, and I have said this on other videos, they have to be aggressive and go get that guy, That's what the Atlanta Falcons need to do, right? Now, it takes two to play. That's why the Falcons are not in a advantageous, spot, because even though that they say they got their guy, right, you still need another team to play with you, right? So you would need the Chicago Bears, the Washington Commanders, or the New England Patriots, more than likely, to play along in your decision to go up and get your guy, right? And maybe they say, "Hey, he my guy too." So hell no, I'm not moving out this spot, right? No matter what you try to give me, right? So that's one of the things that's the first thing. So if the Atlanta Falcons decide, right, that they have their guy, a young guy, they want to go get him, they need to be aggressive to go get him, right? Yes, you are giving up some of your future and draft picks and things like that. That goes without saying, right? It has to happen. But we just talked about it. If you don't have a quarterback, right, you don't want to be one of those teams that, the Jets, the Browns, the Bears, right, that hasn't had a quarterback in like decades, and they still every year trying to go out and find a franchise guy. You don't want to be that team, right? Matt Ryan, it's been what 3 or 4 seasons now, 3 seasons since we lost our franchise guy, and we still searching. So we don't want to go down that road, right? So if they have to move up and give up draft capital, and if a team is willing to play with them, I say go ahead and do it, right? Because they know that that's their guy. Go out, go big, and go get your guy, right? That's 100%, right? Now you have to have backup plans, right? That's your first plan, right? That's our guy. But if no team is willing to play with you, you got to say, okay, we couldn't do that. What would be the second option, right? Second option is I still want to stay young at initially, right? So just say Chicago Bears decide they're going to stay, right? They're going to stay. The other two teams decide they're going to stay. Well, that makes a guy like Justin Fields available, right? Now, the guy like Justin Fields is available for trade, right? Now, I just talked about, the flaws in getting a guy like Justin Fields, because he hasn't 100% proven that he could be a guy, right? Because if he had, Chicago would just go ahead and say, we got our guy, we're moving out of first, the number one pick, right? So just the fact that the Bears are contemplating trading Justin Field means that he has some flaws there, right? He's been in the league 3 years, right? You should already know what kind of quarterback he's going to be. The problem with Justin Field is you still don't know yet. That's the problem, right? So that's what the Atlanta Falcons had to realize, right? Because he wouldn't be available. Franchise quarterbacks are never available in trades. They're just not. That's 100% a fact. Deshaun Watson was, because he looked like a franchise quarterback, but of course we know the situation there, why Deshaun Watson was available, right? Lamar Jackson was never available. He was not. I don't care what nobody says. Yes, they did a exclusive franchise tag on him. He could have got offered a contract, but he was never available, right? Franchise quarterbacks are not available for trade most of the time. It just does not happen, right? So the fact that Justin Fields is available, right, you have to have a reason for pause there. You just have to do that, right? So if the Falcons not 100% sold on going to pull the trigger on a guy like Justin Fields, they should not do it, right? It's just not. We're going to take a chance. I don't like chances, right? If you sold on him and you think you can work with him because you've seen things that's there, and there are things there. I'm not saying they're not, right? They saying that it was the system. We figured out that we got a good game plan, that we're going to build a system around him that's going to work for him, things like that. It's going to play to his strengths. And they got a good game plan to bring him in. I would go up and get Justin Fields. One reason, because I want a young guy. He's only 25-year-old. That means he could be your franchise quarterback for years to come, right? So that's definitely a route they should take, right? Now, The last route, definitely the Atlanta Falcons could definitely go. They could actually go free agency, right? And then they go free agency. In my opinion, it's only two guys that you wouldn't even consider in free agency. Um, and the problem with these two guys are their age, right? And for one, his play has dipped in recent years, so um, it's still a gamble. However, you can utilize those guys um, as semi-bridge quarterbacks, right? So, of course, the two guys I'm talking about is a Kirk Cousin and a Russell Wilson, right? So either one of those guys could come in and be a veteran. They would automatically probably make us a playoff caliber team, right? Because they're both veterans. They know how to play quarterback in this NFL. They played for years. They've been successful quarterbacks in the NFL. You put those guys around an already talented Atlanta Falcons. I would say the Falcons definitely should have no excuse not to make the playoffs, right? But how I just talked about, we do want a franchise guy, right? Those guys are not long-term solutions. They're just not there because of age. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be 36. Russell Wilson's about 34, 35. So, it's just not a good idea to just be sold on your veteran guy. Like I said, for a first-year coach, it is a good idea to actually be successful, right? Because you have to be able to create a culture of winning, right? You don't want to come in being a brand new coach and you're on your team and have a losing season, right? That's not a good recipe, especially when you have a talented roster like the Atlanta Falcons have. So, that could be the route they go. They could go veteran guy because they know if they get a veteran guy, they probably a playoff team, right? You get in the tournament, guys, you never know what happened, right? We always say that. So now if they do go the veteran route, I anticipate them still drafting a quarterback, right? Because then you can draft a guy and then you can develop a guy. And then you go to the Penix Juniors, right? Guys like that. Maybe you can draft in the later rounds to come in and sit behind one of these veteran guys that could be that bridge for a couple of years, right? You can go the Jordan Love route, where Jordan Love sat for like 3 seasons. So you could do that. That's something that the Atlanta Falcons could definitely consider, but it wouldn't be my number one option, right? Like I said, my number one option, if I know it's the guy that I want in the draft, 100%, I'm going to go up and get him. All right. Out of the 3 guys up there, if you asking me which one that I would prefer, it probably would be. Now, I'm gonna say this: either one is fine. Right? I think I would be cool either one. But if I had to go with the guy that I like the most, it probably more than likely going to be either Jaden Daniels or Drake May. Right? Jaden Daniels, just the wild factor, the things that I think that he's going to be able to do in this league is going to be something you just can't teach. The kid is electric. He's dynamic. He has a lot of growth, just like every young quarterbacks there. But bringing a guy like Jaden Daniels in would be amazing for the Atlanta Falcons, right? I think that'd be a good move for them. Drake May is the prototypical quarterback, right? The height, the size. I think he would fit perfect in the Atlanta Falcons new offensive scheme with Zach Robinson. If you go look at a guy like Matthew Stafford, guy that can make all the throws. He has some fundamental issues that he definitely got to fix, right? Accuracy, things like that. Some of the things they said about a guy like Justin Herbert, guy like Josh Allen, right? Things that you can work on and fix, right? Because he has the talent. So a guy like Drake May is definitely another guy. Caleb Williams is really my wild card. He has all the abilities, but he kind of scares me just a little bit because he kind of do a lot of stuff off script a little bit too much for me. But if you can hone that in, and that's why they, kind of compare him to a guy like Patrick Mahomes, because that's what Patrick Mahomes did at Texas Tech, right? But Caleb Williams has an explosive arm. He has all the athletic ability, things like that. So I won't have a problem getting him if he can be honed in and controlled, right? That's just one of the things that a guy like Caleb Williams. But either one of those guys, definitely would be probably my first choice for the Atlanta Falcons. I draft a young guy straight out of college that you want to say going to be our future quarterback moving forward. That's just the route I would go. However, like I said, to do that, they would need either the draft to fall in their favor and a guy fall to number 8, or another team, willing to play with them and they're able to move up the draft and go get a guy. So that would be my first choice for the Atlanta Falcons, to go get one of those 3 draftees, or trade for another young guy like Justin Fields, or they can go the free agency route. Will be my third choice. Get one of those older veterans, and then still draft a quarterback in the draft for development. Right, that's my option, guys. It's going to be interesting to see the decision that the Atlanta Falcons decide to make. Some more guys out there that they definitely could consider in free agency. Ryan Tannehill, it's been reported that the Steelers might be interested in him. No surprise there, because Arthur Smith is there. I know a lot of people so happy because that's probably one of the guys Arthur Smith definitely would be looking for the Atlanta Falcons. You got Jimmy Garoppolo, who potentially could be let go. He's another guy that people could consider to bring in. You got Sam Darnold, who's has sat behind Brock Purdy this year with the San Francisco 49ers. Another guy that when he came in the game actually looked pretty decent, running Kyle Shanahan's offense. So another guy that they could consider. These guys, by the way, is not on my wish list. So, but there are veteran guys that's out there that definitely can be considered, right? Baker Mayfield has not signed a contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so if they want to go that route, he did work with Zach Robinson when he was with the Los Angeles Rams, so he definitely could be an option there. Not an option for me, but they could think about it, right? If him and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers does not decide to work together there, so it's a lot of different things that the Atlanta Falcons, a lot of different options that they can definitely consider. Probably by now, they probably had a lot of different conversations about their options. The one thing about this situation, when I talked about it to start the show, is the fact that it's a lot of quarterback needy teams, and it's not just going to be. The Falcons have to do maneuvering. They have to maneuver around different teams, and things like that to get to their situation. The positive things about Atlanta Falcons is their roster, right? The roster that they have put together over the last 3 seasons is really good. So for free agency standpoint, a free agent definitely could say, they got a ready to build a roster. The talent is there. I want to go there. The coaching staff definitely plays a factor in that as well. Being able to actually go out and sell yourself because of the coaching staff you got. What's really interesting about this quarterback situation is the offensive staff that the Atlanta Falcons have actually assembled, under Coach Raheem Morris. And it's really telltale that I think they got like 3 quarterback coaches, right? They got an offensive pass game coordinator, right? They got another guy in Zach Robinson that worked with quarterbacks, right? It's just a lot of people put around to make sure this offense is going to be sustained. One thing I want to say about that, because Arthur Blank mentioned it, is that when these young talented offensive coordinators come into the league, like a Zach Robinson, right, and the offense start to take off, right, he's probably going to get hired out, get elevated to a head coaching job in a couple of years, right? Well, when you bring in, you got 3 quarterback coaches, you got a passing game coordinator, right? You'll be able to just move those guys into the offensive coordinator spot when a guy like Zach Robinson leaves. So you're building your so-called tree. Raheem Morris can actually do that. Build a tree, and keep sustainment success. That's one of the things that Arthur Blank mentioned, that he probably learned from the Los Angeles Rams, right? Which is a good thing, because, right, you don't want to lose. And you think about, that's what happened to us with the 2016 Super Bowl team, right? We had all those guys on this squad, and think about it, all those guys are potentially, or not potentially, all the guys are head coaches now in this league. So, we lost out. It's just call a spade, right? We was not able to keep none of the talent there, in Atlanta, and we had the guys on our coaching staff already, right? Raheem Morris is building the tree, his own guys that he brought in. Doug Williams' son just came over as quarterback coach as well, coming from the New Orleans Aints. You gotta love that. But all those people coming in, to help this offense out, it kind of screams young quarterback, right? Development, bringing in, making sure that whatever quarterback we get is going to be developed correctly to run this offense, right? Tailoring the offense around the players that you got, right? That's why I like, the coaching staff that was assembled by Raheem Morris. So that plays a factor in as well, the decision making. You got to look at that, all those different, elements of the Falcon decision at quarterback. The coaching staff could be really good in developing whoever they bring in. So a guy like Justin Fields, people saying that he just has not hit the mark yet. Putting with this team, all these guys, to build a system around him to do the things to his strengths, right? Because he does have strengths. He can make all the throws. He's really dynamic in the run game, right? RPOs could definitely be something that they could bring back, right? Being able to read defenses is probably one of the biggest things that young quarterbacks have trouble with. And being able to react quickly, trusting your eyes and things like that. Some stuff and intangible things that you can't teach, right? And then you got to have a little Brett Favre to you, gunslinger mentality, let it rip, trust your eyes and let it go, because you have the arm talent and things like that. So we'll have to see what direction they go in. But I just gave you my options, what I think they should do. Young talent, trade for another young talent, or free agency will be my third choice, and draft the quarterback in the draft. That's definitely to route. Now they could definitely 100% decide to switch it up. They could go, I want to get a veteran first, right? That could be their first option, right? And that's their first option. Hopefully they got a game plan for that, right? Maybe none of the three guys in the draft, and up in the top that they thought was worth moving up in the draft to go get those guys, right? Maybe their scouting department saw something different, right? It's not 100% guaranteed for none of these guys to be really good quarterbacks in this league. It's a crapshoot. Let's just be honest. It really is. You never know how guys going to come out in this league and be successful or not, and that's what it really boils down to. Let's get to some of you guys' questions. While it says, but we're sitting in a better spot than some of the other teams behind us. Wouldn't have to give up too much to move up. You're right, but you're going to get that quarterback tax regardless. So we do have the better option to actually to trade up than all the other teams that I talked about. That's 100% the fact, right? We have the better option because we are in the top 10, so we won't have to give up as much draft capital as the other teams that I mentioned to move up. That's just a fact. So Atlanta Falcons does sit in the sweet spot at number 8. They really do. They have the best opportunity to move up because of they're in the top 10. So I agree with you 100% on that. Kevin said, I think Terry and Raheem have something in mind already for quarterback. They're just keeping it close to the vest. Yeah, you have to think they do. these guys, they eat, sleep. That's what they do. They probably been grinding on this. They understand how important this decision is. I mean, we are outside looking in, thinking about it like, man, what they're gonna do, but they understand the importance of making this decision. Um, this isn't, in my opinion, is an inflection point um in this regime, right? We're sweet with the roster, the cap is okay. Um, we just got to get our franchise guy. This is an inflection point. If they can figure this out, it's going to set them up for the future. It really will. So I agree with you. They have to have something up the sleeve. 330 said, what number one wise ratio is quarterback needs for teams versus how many quarterbacks to be drafted early? Yeah, that's a good question. Somebody mentioned the way it used to be. You remember back in the day when quarterbacks used to get drafted and they sit, right? They sit, learn the game and things like that. Now it's the microwave society, man. You draft a quarterback, they got to be ready to play right away, right? And sometimes they're not, right? And then, like I said, the situations, like, let's be honest, when you're picking up in the top five, unless you got somebody draft pick like the Chicago Bears, right? Chicago Bears, they should be at number 9, but the fact they got number 1 because they got Carolina's pick, right? But usually when you're in the top 5 in the draft, your team is not really good, so the quarterback is already not coming to a good situation. It's just most of the time that's how it is, right? So you expect that guy to be a hero, and most of the time they are not capable of that, right? They need to have something put around them. That's why Atlanta Falcons is a good spot for a young quarterback, because they do have pieces already around, right? You develop the guys right, put a good system around them, and they can take off running. I mean, what CJ Stroud did. CJ Stroud is an anomaly. He came out, he played excellent football, but they put pieces around him. He had a good, running game. He had a great receiving core, talent all around him, and defensive minded coach that wanted to stop the run and things like that. So it was a good situation for a guy like CJ Stroud to come in and be right away. But then you look at a guy like Jordan Love, had to sit and learn the game, and then you see the benefits of that, right? Patrick Mahomes does not count. Patrick Mahomes sat out, played the last game of the season, and rest is history, right? Freaking the last 5 seasons, been in the championship game, and 3 of the seasons been in the Super Bowl. So I mean, it's actually 4 of the seasons. Take that back, right? He's been in the Super Bowl, so that's doesn't count. You gotta look to some of those guys. You can say you can't, try to use that model, because those guys are just anomalies in the system. You have to look at the numbers, just like they're saying is drafting a quarterback early, going to get a veteran guy, all those things. You got to factor in your team that's you're going to put around and stuff like that. So it's just a lot of factors that's going to go into the decision they make. But we wish it was like, this is the model we're gonna use, and it's going to work for us. While it says, but we're sitting in similar situations when we had the 5th pick and moved up to get Vic, so they like one of the top 3 quarterbacks should go try to get one. That's my first option, Wallace. I agree with you 100%. If you like one of these guys, man, you need to go get him. It's just that simple. I mean, these guys will be the guy for your next decade, right? That's your hope, right? So if you like one of these guys, right, and if it's any thing thought that one of these 3 teams don't want one of them, you need to try to go up and get one. That's just 100% should be the case. They should not sit around. They need to be aggressive. And I'm just going to utilize what the Los Angeles Rams did, right? Where Raheem Morris just came from. Those guys went all in, man. That's why they won the Super Bowl, right? They went all in, 100% went all in, and that's why they was able to win the Super Bowl, right? And then guess what? They was back in the playoffs this year after giving up all those draft capitals and things like that. Because you know why? They got a quarterback. They got their quarterback, right? That's that's how you do it, right? You put young talent around, do the good development, have a good development program. But if you get a quarterback in place, or in a good system, you're gonna be have some kind of success in this league. It's just the way it is. The fact that you don't have one, um, you always gonna be a mid team. You're gonna be barely losing games, almost having a chance. Like that's what we were this year. Like we could have won so many games if our quarterback play would have been better. It's just that simple, man. Despite all the play calling, despite all the things, that Arthur Smith, had his deficiencies in. If our quarterback play was better, it would be no doubt in my mind that the Atlanta Falcons would have been in the playoffs this year. And it all depends on what you have around a young quarterback. But yes, 100%. That's always going to be the case. You have to be able to have a good foundation around the young quarterback, even a veteran quarterback, man. Everybody thinking about Aaron Rodgers, how he was going to perform, but that offensive line for the Jets was not good, right? If they don't fix that, even Aaron Rodgers is going to struggle with the New York Jets next year. It's not going to be as good as people think. So, it's just the nature of the beast, and they don't, and like they need quarterback. They need a backup quarterback, right? That's another thing to think about. The backup quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, there's a report out there that Desmond Ritter could be in a trade package, right? If we're able to get draft capital, from that would be awesome, right? Another fresh start for Desmond Ritter would be good. I'm anticipating him to come back as a backup quarterback for us. But if it's for some reason they get a good trade package, maybe get a 4th round pick for Desmond Ritter, I take it, right? Because you could, like I said, you can go in the draft and draft you another quarterback and develop him because you have a guy, especially if they go the veteran route, like I just mentioned, and do something like that. So it's definitely an option for Atlanta Falcons. I would think Desmond Ritter would be on the roster. It would be interesting to see. Bijan mentioned that Coach Rock called him right away. When did he call Desmond Ritter? I'm pretty sure he called Drake. Pretty sure he called Drake London, but we've been seeing interviews of Drake. But I wonder, did he call Desmond Ritter? That would be interesting to find out, about something like that, right? Because that's one thing that, that did not get asked in his press conference about the quarterbacks on the roster. It was amazing that they didn't even get asked that question, because usually that's one of the questions. I'm pretty sure, once we hear from the coordinators, a guy like Zach Robinson, when he talks, I'm pretty sure they might ask him about Desmond Ritter, what's his thoughts on him, things like that. Now that the coaching staff had an opportunity to analyze the roster and things and figure out what they're going to do. So, but guys, that's what I have about the quarterbacks, right? The 2024 quarterback situation is going to be fascinating, interesting, real good storylines for us, especially in the podcast world, to be able to talk about it and dissect all the moves around the league, try to figure out, what our Atlanta Falcons is going to do at this position. It's all these things is really, up in the air right now. But trust me when I tell you this, in the next 3 weeks, we'll start to see some things start to come to light because of, decisions, especially right before the new league year. Our teams got to pay guys guaranteed money. So they got to make decisions on those guys for their teams. So it's going to really start to trickle down. All right. The combine coming up. Don't be surprised if guys, names start to come up on quarterback. like a guy like JJ McCarthy, right? It's really rumored that some of the NFL scouts are higher on him than guys, us as fans, right? Because he has won a lot of games in NFL, right? The system he was in, did not, have him throw the ball around a lot. So, the potential of a guy like that, we really don't know as well as maybe some of the NFL scouts have scouted this guy. So don't be surprised if a guy like JJ McCarthy start to schools, rise up draft boards as well, right? Do not be surprised to hear his name. Penix Jr. is another guy. He can really throw. I just think his injury concerns on him, it just kind of hurts his stock a little bit. I have no interest in a guy like Bo Nix, so he would not be somebody on my my radar at all. But we don't know what these NFL scouts thinks and things like that, so we just have to wait to see. But the combine is really going to be interesting. The kid out of Florida, right? To me, he couldn't. He was terrible in college, right? He showed flashes, yes, but to be drafted 4th overall, because of what he did at the combine, his pro days and things. Like I don't know. It had to be a ceiling what they're looking at from what he potentially could be, because his tape was not good. It was not. So, and that's the example I'm talking about. Sometimes these scouts, man, they so enamored about the potential in a guy instead of going back and look at the tape, because the tape in it, the college tape really should be what you're learning off of, right? The potential, right? It's things that you have to know about the team, what they was taught. That's why you get them in and you talk to them on this play. What was you thinking? What was the scheme? What was the throw? What was supposed to happen on this? Right. That's the kind of question you actually try to find out, because that really would tell you, yes, you read the play right, and a guy made a great play. That's why it didn't work out the way for you. Things like that, right? But right, the tape should be the answer. Combines, stuff like that. Guys get hooked up at combines, right? They stock rise up a whole lot. Sometimes they're not deserving of it. So I just wanted to go out. I just had to say that about the combine, because believe me, you guys know, Zach Wilson, pro day, he got picked number 2 overall because that throw he made that went viral, right? And did they not look at the tape? Did they not look at the competition? They was wrong. Let's just be honest. And they was wrong. It's just that simple. People make mistakes, right? It was funny, Merrill Harge, what he had to say about Caleb Williams. He probably the first guy, out of that I heard said Caleb Williams not going to be a good pro, right? So, is he right? I don't know, right? Most analytical guys, analysts out there that scout stuff like that got him number 1 overall. So, what do I know? Maybe Merrill Hart's right. We just have to find out. There's a crapshoot, right? But don't be surprised if guys like JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., even a guy like Bo Nix move up draft board, because the scouts have them higher than us as fans have them. Last comment. I mean to say having a good offensive line and the main key for the quarterback to be successful, and we'll just have to wait to see which way they're going to go. That's 100% correct. One thing I want to say is that Arthur Smith had the right idea. Predicating everything off the run game, right? We have to be able to utilize that. So whatever quarterback we bring in, you have to use the run game, right? You talk about the offensive line. That's one of the strengths of our offensive line, being able to run the ball. That's why the ability to keep a guy like Dwayne Ledford here was really, really good for us. So to keep that continuity with the offensive line. So I agree with you on that. Offensive line is the key. A lot of these young quarterbacks come in when they don't have a great offensive line. Atlanta Falcons does not have that problem, right? They need to be able to build around the edges. Like the guy, Hassan Reddick, have permission to seek a trade, what will he be asking for? Far as contract and things like that. That would be interesting, right? The Chargers right now are over the cap, right? They're gonna have to make some decisions, right? Do we try to go get one of their pass rushers out there, Khalil Mack, Bosa? Bosa can't stay healthy. Maybe you don't want him, but you can take a chance, right? Because if he is able to stay healthy, that guy is a record, right? So those are kind of things that Atlanta Falcons have decisions to make on as well. But the quarterback position is the number one thing they need to fix first and foremost, right? So guys, that's all I have. Thank you guys for coming in and kicking with me today on Super Bowl Sunday. You said because many quarterbacks can throw deep balls and shorts and no defensive pressure. 100%, man. So many. Like it's crazy, man. The way they, the underwear Olympics go and people get their stock raised up. But like I said, guys, thank you guys for coming in and kicking it with me on Super Bowl Sunday. Hey, it's about ready to get started off here in about a little bit less than 3 hours here, right? I picked the Chiefs because I'm just going with the quarterback. I'm just be honest with you. I'm going with the quarterback. That's what I'm going. We just talked about the show quarterback. I'm going with the quarterback. The better team is the San Francisco 49ers, but I'm going with the phenom Patrick Mahomes, man. It's just simple to me. The guy's amazing. He's been playing. He's 14-3 in the playoffs, man. I don't understand why anybody would pick against this kid. I just don't know. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's what I'm going with. While I said if we load up on defense again in free agency, it's going to be determined which way we go. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. If we don't know anything about a quarterback, if we don't make a move in free agency, and we don't do a trade, more than likely we're going to draft a quarterback, right? That would probably be the way I'm thinking. So that's good. But guys, thank you coming in. I don't have a dog in the fight for the Super Bowl. I'm rooting with the Chiefs. The 49ers win. It's going to be because the San Francisco 49ers was able to make Patrick Mahomes make a mistake. Or the Chiefs cannot stop the run. That's their weakness. If anybody been watching, Kyle Shanahan is going to run Christian McCaffrey. He's gonna be consistent with it. He's not going to go away from it. So that's going to be a great thing as well. So it's going to be a great Super Bowl. I can't wait. Now, I can't wait to see the halftime show because I'm a big Ursher fan as well. But you guys enjoy the Super Bowl, and then that's the end of 2023. Once it's over, we can get into 2024, and we can get all optimistic about our Falcons again. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.